Okay, so welcome to our Working with Portraits webinar designed to support the Memory Book Online Yearbook program. Our goal this afternoon will be to focus on the functions of the program associated with student portraits. Specifically, we will be reviewing your uploaded images, printing class sheets for teachers or parents or any volunteers to review and correct, strategies for detecting duplicate images, correcting student names, categorizing students, and then finally using the flow function on how to create your portrait pages. Webinar is going to approximately be about 30 minutes. Could go, just if we're explaining, could go over a little bit longer. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the first place I'm at right now, I'm just in on the dashboard here. So if you have sent in your class photos for us to upload, and you've gotten that email notification that they're uploaded, they're ready for you to check out, then when you get into the program here, we're going to go to the image library to check those out. So once you're in on the dashboard here, if you want to jump straight to the library, go under the Create menu and click on Image Library. Now bring us into everything here. I'm just going to collapse everything real quick. So we're here in the library, the image library, and this is where you're going to do all of your this is where all of your uploading and your organizing and your corrections to portrait names and stuff. This is the area where all of that you're going to make happen there. And so once your photos are uploaded, you're going to come into the library and you're going to find those under the portrait section here. So if we just click this little arrow, that's going to drop that down, expand our section to where we can see all of our folders that are here. Now, with our new uploading or how the image library has worked this season, just depending on how your photographer's index is set up, it kind of works with grade and teacher information in those indexes. So when you come in here, you may see the teacher's names. Now, if you see a little arrow beside it, just click that open. If you see a subfolder and then you've got your amount of images, that's where your class photos are going to be there. So you can take a look at those. Everything comes in when you're looking at the library. The names are, everyone's sorted alphabetically by last name here. Now, one of the first things when you get into the library is if you're needing people, before even flowing, it's probably best to, review the students, make sure they're in the correct categories, and, do they have the correct name spellings, things like that. So to help with that, if you need to create like composite proofs or, just uh, proof sheets here of your class, um, what you would do is click on the category that you want to make a proof of, and then right up above here, there's a tiny little PDF button here. And when you hover over it, it says PDF preview. And if you click on that, that is then going to generate just a proof sheet here that you can then print this out, hand these out to your teachers. You can actually download them digitally too if you want to send it that way. But hopefully this will help get these to the teachers. They can then go through it, correct any, mark out the name or put any corrections details there for you, or mark students out and say, goes to this class or anything like that. So once you get those, so very handy to hand out if you're needing that help there. Um, Now let's say you sent those out, you got those sheets back in, then you can look at correcting name spellings, categorizing, and even kind of checking for duplicates. Now, when we're in here, if we just need to correct a name, so two ways you're going to open up that photo. You can either double click on the photo and it'll come up in a little image preview here, or at the top corner, you see a little information eye, says image details. Clicking on that will bring up this little preview too. So in the preview that we're looking here, we got the image, the preview of the image off to the left. And then right here, this is what we call the name tag. So if we need to edit this student's name, so let's say in this example that this student is not Mary, but maybe her name is Marie. So if we come over to the side here, we're going to click this little 3-dot button on the tag. It says edit, and we're going to hit edit name. So again, 3-dot button, hit edit name. We're going to get a little prompt that's just saying, this tool should only be used to fix incorrect information. Um, you know, don't use this if the name doesn't match the student. So there's a different process for that. So we're going to click edit. And then once we get this little edit window here, we can then, I'm going to take off the Y, and I'm going to change her name to Marie, and I'm going to hit save. And done. Now, one thing, it may not always kind of refresh as quickly here, but if I go back into the image details, if I close this, come back, I now see the name changes there. Same kind of here, if in the main open there, it doesn't always refresh as quick, but if I jump out to another folder and come back, then here's where I see this. The name change has taken place here, so now it's Murray. Now, if you have a student that is in the wrong class, maybe, let's see, where is my other 5th grade class here? I know I've got one. There we go, Weller. Okay, so in this case, I've got 2 5th grade classes here. Now let's say that one of these students actually belongs to the other class. So what I would do there, if you need to move class photos around just to get them to the other classroom that they're in, all you have to do is just drag and drop over to the folder that student belongs into. It'll ask you are you sure you want to move? Hit move. And now if I go into the Weller 5th grade, there we have our student that we just moved. All right, so I'm going to actually move her back. So again, just moving to another classroom, just drag and drop over to the folder or the class that you need them to be in. Okay, so now another thing that you can use for correcting student names is we see how to make a change here in the library. Now another spot that's going to be helpful for detecting duplicates and also making name corrections there is what we have is the coverage report. This is also, if we go under the create menu, I'm going to go down to the coverage report here. Now the coverage report is just a listing of all the names, to your tags that are here in the program. To help with, if you're either editing names or if you're wanting to search for duplicates, it's I would come over here and kind of sort by last name, and that way you can easily kind of see. So here's our student, Marie Abney, that we just changed. But let's say just to put things back the way they were, this is the other area you can make quick changes to a name tag. So I'm going to actually put her back to Mary there. And as we're looking through here, we also see that we've got duplicate tags. So that may help us when we're looking, if we need to go between a couple different folders to see if we have duplicates there. So definitely, as you're kind of seeing these, here we've got 2. It's a duplicated name tag, doesn't necessarily mean that it's a duplicated image. I'm going to go back in. Oh, okay. I wanted to show one thing here real quick. So I did change that name back to Mary Abney. So I'm going to go under create, and we're going to go back to the image library. And now when I'm back into that folder, her name is back to Mary. So when it comes to editing the name tags, any change that you make to a tag here will then reflect in the library, and then vice versa. Any change done in the covered report, you'll then see here it'll reflect back in the library. So either spot really good to make changes. Duplicating duplicates. Um, let's see. Do I have? Oh, they're wearing the same. Well, they're wearing the same kind of sweater here, so I don't know if I really have a duplicate in here at the moment. Let's see. No, I'm going to go back to that one folder that had the two students in the same sweater. So we're going to pretend here for the moment that these are two actual duplicate photos here, one of the other. So there's a way that we have in the program to handle those without, if let's say it's, either a duplicate or let's even say it's a retake. Maybe you've got the original and then you've got the retake by side. So instead of deleting them, because you never know if you'll either need that copy or if you'll need that retake or which one, we have a way to mark those as do not use. So if you have duplicates, you have retakes, and you need to mark one so it doesn't flow in with the rest of the class, um, what you'll do there is you're going to double click on the photo, and with the photo, when the image is up in the preview, you're going to go over to the Details tab, and we're going to go down under Preferences here, and where we have Use Portrait, we're just going to change that to Don't Use Portrait. That's already saved, and we hit Done. So all this is doing is just telling the program when we use the flow function here in a bit to bring this class page in, or this class in, we're just going to take this out here and faculty, move that image to faculty there. But the do not use, this is what you're going to use for any duplicates or retakes there. And it's a way to keep the image in the program. So, we've seen it a number of times where it's, classes flowed in, but then maybe a parent comes to the advisor and says, "Hell, I really want to use that retake," or maybe the retake was used and they want to use the original. What can happen then is, in this case, if say these were the same person, we need to switch back. We can go back into the one photo that we marked as do not use, just change that back to use portrait, and then you would go back to the other one and then mark it as don't use. So definitely it's good to keep that, to use the do not use as opposed to just deleting the image, because advisors can. If you select an image, you can go under Actions and hit Delete, or you can hit the little trash can icon down at the bottom here. But oftentimes, something like that happens. You delete something and then you turn around a little bit later and it's like, oh, I really needed that. So I just wanted to show that just to how you would handle duplicates or retakes. Just marking them as do not use tells the flow that we're going to skip it, and it's a way that in case you do have to come back to it, it's there, and you can easily kind of change your settings. Okay, so that was code report, basic that, fix spelling, sort to identify duplicates. Okay, so we've gone over how to edit a name and how to do a classroom change, just moving one student to another. So that's pretty much as far as the organization part. That's some of the most things that we have here that we can go over. There are some other settings for teacher images if you're flowing the teachers in with your group as well. There's settings to make them flow first. Um, let's see here. Do I have a class that has a teacher? Doesn't look like I do. Okay, we can show that. Smith. That's fine. Here we go. Mrs. Smith. So I'm going to take Mrs. Smith. So if you have teachers that you'd like to flow in with your students, what you would do in this case is here you're going to take the teacher and you're going to move them into the folder with the students. And there she is. Okay, so what you would do, so if you have a group and you have this group when they flow, you want the teacher to take the very first spot in that template. What we're going to do is we're going to go open up the image into the details, and under preferences, we're going to go back under preferences, but this time we're going to go to portrait type. And as I click this, we see 4 options that we have here. We have teacher, student, other, and assistant. So on these 4 types there, it's actually a hierarchy. So any photo that's marked teacher will flow first. And that's what we're going to do with this teacher here. We're going to mark them as teacher. So they are the first ones in the flow group, and then students will come after. Now the next level in the hierarchy, it actually goes teacher, assistant, student, and then other. So if we wanted the teacher to flow behind the students in this case, since all images coming in, the default on everything is student. So if we wanted the teacher to come in behind them, we could do other. We've seen that too. Assistant comes in right after teacher. So if you had like a classroom helper or a parapro that worked with the class, then that you could put them in then, and that way it would flow teacher, then teacher helper, and then the students there. We're going to go ahead and mark teacher, and there we have it. Now, when we mark a teacher to flow first when it's in the classroom, it's not going to pull to the front of the class here in the library. In the library, everybody is always going to stay alphabetized by last name. But that setting affects when we go to the page. Now, I'm going to do 2 different class pages when I flow here, just because the teacher being in with the class and then the teacher not being in the class, it just kind of depends on the template that you choose. So if we're good here, I'm actually going to jump to one of the pages, and let's show you kind of how to build and do some of the class page part. So I'm going to go under the design, or go under create, and I'm going to go to new page designer here. And let's find I just kind of find a I just find a spread and clear it off real quick, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So now that we're in the designer, then let's say you're going to be looking for templates when you get to here in the portrait templates. So we're going to go under the designs tab, and from the drop down, we are going to look under portrait. So I'm going to click that arrow beside there. Now, when looking at the portrait or the class, the portrait templates that are here, you can click on all portraits and look at them there. They are sorted a couple different ways. The first is by photo box size, and the second is by they're resorted again by the amount of photos that they hold. Now, this first few sort, the 4x6 pica, 5x6 pica, these are the size of the photo boxes on the page. 4x6 being the smallest. So if I click on something like this, a template in this range would be something for bigger classes that we see here. So lots of boxes in that. I'll bring on just another style. So these are for like really huge classes, or maybe you're doing a middle school and you've got them flowing across a few different pages. So there's a template here for all page sizes or all class sizes here. Like big groups. Now, if I come to the larger the photo box, smaller classes, smaller class sizes here where you can do. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just pick a basic template like this. I'm going to go ahead and toss it on here. Now, when you're looking for a template to bring onto your pages, um, basically we suggest picking a template that is based on your largest class size. So if you kind of have, and the reason for the picking one based on largest class size is just to ensure that you have consistency, consistency amongst your class pages, same photo box sizes throughout the book. Um, Now I'm thinking the one that I'm about to use, I've got something in like the 41 to 50. I have some pretty decent sized classes here, so I could look into these templates here. And if I saw something I like, I would just bring it, drag and drop it over. There we go, got a large class. Um, so there's some things that, when before you flow, there's some things that you can hear to kind of format your template before you bring it in. Um, so right here, you'll notice what, all of these portraits have the little head and shoulders there. Now, when I click on this, you'll notice it selects it as one big element that we're working here. So on this is with it selected, this is the time that we can do some basic formatting before we flow anybody in. So if it's selected, we can change the font style, how the names are going to go in. And for each side, you'll have to just select that flow element and do the same. Let's see, I checked Eugene. So right here, we see the name size is 6. I want to bring that up just a little bit to 8. And let's say maybe when I'm looking at my photo boxes here, so actually if the photo boxes, what I can do, where was it? Ah, okay, it was under flow options. Um, Now, this little waffle looking drop down up here, that's what we call flow options. This allows us to change different things about the flow elements that are here. It'll allow you to adjust things like the rows or columns, the portrait, the width of the photo box sizes, width and height, spacing between it on certain things, name width. But really, I wanted to come down here to show a couple different things. Basically, I wanted to show portrait shape and rounded corner. So the rounded corner, you do have like little arrows to go up and down to change that. You do also have a little slider here. So here's those with 10-point round. And just kind of show you some of the other stuff you do on this side. Just show you different boxes. You could do, trapezoids, rectangle. Circle will be for oval in that too, if you wanted to come in oval. I'm going to go off that there. And there was one other, stroke size. That's what I wanted. So the stroke, what that is right here, this little drop down, will put a simple little border around your photos there. And you can also change this text color from the drop down here. I don't want to go change it too much. Actually, I'm just going to put that back to black there. Okay, so after you've done, brought your template on, you've done a few formatting changes in that. What I would do before you do any flowing or anything like that, I would go up and hit save. Um, Now, anytime you do any changes to your layout in that, definitely the program will make you save it before you're able to flow into it. Um, Another thing I might suggest here is that if you're making these type of changes like this, like or this is one of your class pages or this is a different style, but when you make one and format it the way that you really like it, instead of recreating that on however many other class pages you have, uh, it, to make things easier on you, go up to File and do Save as Template. Then you can choose, you'll give it a name. So I'm just going to say, and I'm just going to name it 25 for 2025. I'll just give it a name. And then you can pick which side. Either you want the left page, the right page, or both pages. In this case, this left side is going to be my main class page. So I'm just going to select that and hit Save. And then when you're ready to, let's say I'm going to go on to my next class pages here, I can then go under Designs. Now, if I go under the Designs tab, I got to go all the way back to find our templates that we just saved, go under Custom, and go into My Templates. And where did I name that? Here we go, class page 25. So then you just find your template, and then you can easily drag and drop that onto all of your other class pages, and that way you don't have to worry about recreating this formatting each time. Bring it over to the other side. Now when you create a template like this, and let's say that when you bring it over, most of everything will kind of flip here and mirror itself, except for the flow element. There's one easy setting back under, if we select it and go back under the flow options, we can then go down to the name options. And instead of names on left horizontal, we could do names on right. And that way that just puts our names out to the side, and that way it gives us a mirrored look there. Hit save on that. All right, so now that we have our template the way it is here, I'm just going to take the background out real quick. All right, hit save, because remember, any changes you do to a page, you'll need to hit save before you can flow. Okay, so we have our template the way we want it, format it, and we're ready for the class. So when you're ready for the class to go in, you're going to go over to the flow tab here. And on the flow tab, at the top of it, you're seeing things that look like these other flow. That's exactly kind of what these are. These are flow elements, because you don't have to use a template to start out like this. You can just bring over a flow element and format it to look like this, and then build in the rest of your page the way you like it. But that's what these are. These are just flow elements here. So your template already has this, so you can skip right over this part. And under the category dropdown, here's where we're picking the class that we're going to flow. Come down here, I'm going to open up Smith and grab the folder that has the images. And I'm not sure if it's real hard to see or not, but over here on the flow tab, the very first image that picks up to be flowed in was our teacher that we marked to be teacher there. So here's where we actually get to see that teacher pull to the front of the group when we flow them in. So we've got our category, and next is name format. Now this is how the names will go onto the page. By default, it will come onto the page first name, last name. But you can also do, last first there as well. But the default is first last, whereas when you're looking in the library, they're all in as last first. So I got my name format. It's going to tell us how many images are there. So it's 31 images in this folder, 31 remaining. And next we come to the start and stop fields here. So what start and stop is, it's start page and stop page. These two fields control the page or page range that your group is flowing over. So in this case, I know I've got 48 available positions. I've got 30 students here. What I want is, so my left page here is page 76, my right is 77. Now, if everything was flowing onto just this one page right here, I would set my group to be 76 and my stop to be 76. And that way it's just flowing onto this page. So if small groups, oftentimes your start and stop will just need to be the page that you're flowing that group onto. Now, for big middle schools or very large classes that may go over 2 pages or more, you'll set your stop to the first page that they're on, and you'll set your stop to whatever page that group is ending on. So in our example here with this large class group, I'm going to make this 77. And so one thing that's telling me here, let's see. I was kind of, there is sometimes when these aren't, okay, whenever there's information that's not quite right here, where it has 96 available positions, and it looks like even if I just did it to one page, actually, yeah, they're just going to flow onto one side here. Um, let's see, I want to pick a bigger group just for a moment to see. I must say that I need to probably find a smaller template to show what I'm about to show here. Okay, oh, busy. Here we go, a little cleaner. Okay, let's see here. This is 66. There we go. Okay, so I wanted to show particular what happens when you don't have enough spots, or what you're seeing when you don't have enough spots here. So looking at this template, it only has 22 available positions, while our group has 29. So that's just a big indicator to let you know that, hey, I don't have enough spots for all of these people to go in. At that time, you might need to see if more spots need to be added, or if you just need to bring in a new template for them to flow into. But I just wanted to really point out that red bar here is if things are not matching as far as having enough available positions and your class, you will get this red bar alerting you that you need to fix something here. So I'm going to go back to 76 here. Okay. So for this group, actually bring it to 76. And I am going to flow them on one page. So I'm going to put my stop at 76. And basically, this is kind of how you want, when you go to flow, this is how you kind of want things to look. You've got images, you got your correct start and stop, and this spot right here not being highlighted in red. If it tells you you've got 48 available positions and you've got 29 spots, you're good to go. So once you have everything good here, you just come down and click the purple flow button. And what it does in kind of one swoop, it puts the kiddos and their names into the template all at one time. So that's as long as a lot of times you've got, your folder set up the way that you need them, you've got templates with enough spots, and you're doing the start and stop, the flow really works really smoothly going through there. Now, of course, there could be some snafus here and there. Let's say what happens if you delete, you flowed the wrong class in? What do you do there? So if you feel that you've flowed the wrong class in, or maybe you're like, oh, that group needs to be on this page now, or something like that. So when you have a flow that you need to fix or redo, anything like that, the first thing you'll do, and kind of like with this group here, is you're going to go back over to the flow tab, and you're going to make sure you have that group selected. And then down next to where the flow button was, you now have a reset button. So when you click reset, reset is going to allow you to, it's going to pull everybody back out. And at this point, you can then, maybe that group was supposed to be over here. So I'm going to go 77, 77, and then flow. So basically the reset just pulls everybody out. And now one thing I will show you here is with a group that is flowed in, any of the formatting options are grayed out. So this is why you have to kind of do your formatting before the group is flowed in. So, let's say that, well, I flowed them in and maybe I need to do some editing changes, like take that stroke off, or maybe I want to change the name size or font. When the group is reset and you're just back to the flow element, that this is the time to make all those changes there. So now one thing I'll show you here is one thing about the flow is when you flow a group in, it hides the unused spots. So you can kind of see when you select the flow element, there is about 2 rows of space here in a couple 3 spots. So the flow takes away those extra spots, but it just hides them. So what happens, like if you had a flow go on the wrong page, you've got them flowed to the correct page, but now let's see, where was my other kindergarten? Okay, so now I've got my other kindergarten needs to go to this page. Well, now when I go over and select my kindergarten class to go on 76, it's got 31 images, but I only have 29 positions available. So how would you get those extra 2 spots back? Well, to do that, here on the flow element, and it doesn't matter where you click because you're just inside the flow, select one of the photo boxes, and it doesn't matter which one, but you're going to double click on the flow element. I'm going to double click on it, and then you'll notice everything kind of dims out and focuses just right on the flow element. And now we can see those hidden spots that were taken away. Now to turn these back on, there's a little eyeball icon in the top here. You're just going to click that. And let's see, how many spots? Well, I'm just going to add another row here. I think I don't need it, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you, just click the eyeball here to turn on however many spots that you need. When you're done adding, adding spots back, just click off to the side somewhere here. That'll close that. And then we're going to go up here and we're going to click save. And now that we've saved, now it's registering to the flow tab that we've got enough positions, and I'm going to flow them in. And now that our teacher was marked flow first, your teacher will take the first spot of there. So flowing, as far as, definitely come through, pick out a template that works best with your largest class. Go ahead and, if you're waiting on your class photos to still come in, definitely is a good time to plan out where your class pages are going to be. That's usually the most important pages in your book are those class pages. Kind of plan out where those placed in the book. And then once you have those, templates on those pages, you've got that mapped out. Those can be there waiting on the class photos till you get them. That also opens you up to see what pages you have open for candid activity pages, in which you can kind of start working on some of those while you're waiting on your class photos. One last thing I wanted to show here before I get off is the other teacher style. I know with this one, we added the teacher to the group and flowed them in to take the first spot. That is kind of what you'll do on a layout where it doesn't have like a designated teacher spot up at the top. Let me find a template here. If I go under designs and we go under portrait, and Here we go. Well, find one that has, and I'll just go use one of these here. So some layouts will come with some teacher spots up at the top already. If you decide to go with a layout that has a teacher spot, now remember any of this is customizable, so you'd be able to change this up, kind of make it your own there. But with the class templates that have a teacher spot, instead of adding them into the portrait category with that has the student images, you can just leave them in the staff folder that they're there. The teacher spot here, if you notice, that has a little bit different photo box symbol on it. It's a little mountain. It's our landscape symbol. This is a manual drag and drop spot like you see in the candidate activity templates and that. So while this part down here flows in using the flow tab, you'll get your teacher in here just by going over to the images tab. And you're still going to go and where is it? You're still going to go under your portrait images. And let's see, I moved that image, so she's now in here. But if you went to, let's say, just your faculty folder, um, found your teacher, and then drag and drop them into that teacher spot that's up at the top. So that's kind of just the last thing I wanted to show here is the difference between those kind of class page setups. So if you have a teacher that is kind of has a designated teacher spot up at the top, don't worry about adding them to the class. You just drag and drop into these spots from the images tab. But if you do have a layout kind of similar to this, no extra teacher spot, this is definitely, if you want the teacher to flow in with the class, then you'll move them into the class folder and then mark them as, mark that setting on them as, teacher as well, so they flow first. So this, I said I'd go a little bit longer in that, but I've gone through on just kind of going through and flowing some class pages in that. And really, I'm just kind of uh, I I think we've kind of reached where I'm kind of end on going over this. So um, if we have some time, or if anyone has questions, I'm glad to open this up for a little bit of Q&A right now. If you have any questions on building the class pages or organizing the images, anything that we've covered today, if you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or if you want to put something in the GoToMeeting chat, um, questions in the chat, I can then address them from there as well.
Hi, I had a question. I have around 100 quotes that needs to go on the portrait page with the kids. Is there a way to flow them in along with the portraits?
The quotes, no, we don't have anything that kind of flows in the quotes like that. Um, so if this is like a graduate page or
Yeah.
something like that, um, yeah, a lot of those that we have on something like this, usually on those spots, those quotes, if you have them already typed out in something, it's easy to copy and paste them in. We just don't have a way to flow them in automatically.
Okay, so I'll have to manually do it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do you have a question in the chat line? Okay. Here, what's your question about viewing pictures?
Hello. Yes, we have a question. So one of our team members uploaded pictures of students for different activities, sports, and so we see that there's an amount next to staff uploaded, but we're not sure how to use the pictures to see if they were successfully uploaded into our account.
Now, is this for like the photo share or just you uploading in the library?
Photo share.
Photo share. Okay. So for photo share, Let me go back under create. Um, and this is kind of be PhotoShare kind of ties in more of the building activity pages on those images. But here, let me save that real quick. Um, if you go into the library, if you're looking for this, um, PhotoShare, and you're only going to be able to see this if you're logged in as an advisor. So it'll be under inbox. And if you're in as advisor, you'll see PhotoShare, but then you'll click the little arrow beside it, and that's when you'll see your School Life for Portraits folder here that'll have those images. But if you're in as a staff person, staff role logins and editor role logins cannot see these folders.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any other questions for today?
Yeah. Yes, I have a question. So you showed an example of how to flow in the pictures using the templates, but you did say during the call that there was another option that on the top it showed flow and it had different I wouldn't say it was a template, but it was like a different option. What happens if you use one of those? Like, what's the main difference between one and the other? Can you show an example of that?
Sure can. Okay, so the how I had been using is just pre-made templates that were there. Um, so if I come under flow, um, each one of these here, and you can see like names above the photo, names to the sides, names under. I'll just bring over, let's say names under. So when you bring so these are just the flow elements like you would see in one of these templates that are here, but this is like, no, this just comes on just as the element part itself. It doesn't have any of the extra formatting in that. So when you bring these on, and they're no different from what's in the template, it's just you'll bring them on, but it only comes on with so many to start with at first. Um, what you would have to do is once you brought it on, you could go under this flow options, and I'm going to unpin this so I can move this around here. So um, normally at the beginning, I will leave on automatic. That way I can adjust rows and columns. So if I wanted 6 rows and maybe I wanted 8 columns, you could adjust that here. Actually, you can start kind of playing with it. Or if you wanted to fine tune it, you could then hit automatic and then start kind of adjusting stuff ever so, you know, the way you like it there. So that's just the difference between starting with a template and starting with just a flow element off the top. Is the ones in the templates are already kind of pre-formatted, where when you bring these on, you actually kind of need to do, set them up more the way that you would like them.
Okay. So an example right there, you have that format. And let's just say that, we wanted to add the teacher or the staff member picture, like you had said that right on the top, they had their own designated spot. How would you add that designated spot?
Oh, okay. So,
Okay.
so let's say you got your flow element on here and formatted first, and then the teacher spot, you would just come over to the art tab and go to image frame, and then you could just bring over a photo box and size that and position that to where you need it for that teacher spot.
Perfect. And then are those frame boxes also the same boxes that are used to add wording or like the teacher's name on the side? Or do we have to do text boxes for those?
Text boxes. So yeah, if you come to text, under text, you'll find you'll have styles that are already here. So you then drag over a text box and type in Mr., Mrs., Miss, or so class, or just third grade. But yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. Got one other question here. Probably take this as the last one here. So I'm trying to flow a class as a test, but saying 0 available positions, but there is enough spaces. What what may be happening there, or what? So what you may look at with that is if you did any changes to the template, you might need to see if you need to go up and hit save. And if save's not what it is, you might check what your start and stop fields are set to on the flow tab. Um, usually it's one of those two. All right. I think we've just hit about almost an hour here, so I think I'm going to wrap things up for today. So definitely, thank you for joining us this afternoon, and hopefully these demonstrations, related to the creation of portrait pages, should eliminate some trial and error when you're working on the book. Definitely take advantage of printing out portrait sheets and editing class data ahead of time. Should result in better accuracy on your class pages. And feel free to join us in about 2 weeks when we go over building activity pages in Memory Book Online. So thank you again, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you later.